Make the cover of GTA 6 for PS5. Very nice. Next, make a photo of Will Smith holding this video game. He's sitting at a table with a giant bowl of spaghetti. Oh my god. This is way too easy. Make a funny meme involving Donald Trump. And these are actually funny. Give me 2 panels side by side with the title Spot the Difference. There should be 4 subtle differences between the 2 images. Holy smokes! How crazy is that? Alright, what about a Polaroid photo of 4 friends in a dimly lit coffee shop? Very nice. Now turn this into Studio Ghibli style. Holy smokes! What about this? Naruto, Nezuko, Goku, and Doraemon eating McDonald's and drinking Coke. Oh my god, it absolutely nailed it! What about a poster of the 4 most popular smoothies with a recipe listed on a handwritten card in front of it? Oh my god. This is insane! This is by far the most impressive AI image generator I've used yet. It's not even close. So OpenAI just dropped the image generation capability for their 4.0 model. Now notice that 4.0 is actually a multimodal model. So not only can it understand text and audio, so for example, their advanced voice mode is also using 4.0, but it can also understand and generate images. They just haven't released that feature until right now. The awesome thing is, you can use this right now even for the free plan. So there are 2 ways to use it. The first way is just in ChatGPT. So let's try ChatGPT first. Note that I'm on the free plan. For example, you can write make an image or create an image, generate a photo, and it should understand to create the image for you. However, note that here, if it says created with DALL-E, then that means you're still using the old model. So if ChatGPT doesn't work, another place for you to use this new image generator is Sora.com, which I'll link to in the description below. However, note that for here, you do need to pay in order to use it. Note that even the Plus plan, which is $20 per month, you can generate unlimited images and videos for now. Alright, let's start off with this prompt. A multi-panel comic of a man explaining a simple home workout routine. In each panel, he should describe a different exercise or fitness tip. I'm going to set this to image. I'm going to set the aspect ratio to 1:1. I'm going to get it to generate 4 images at once. And then over here, there are different presets you can define for the style, but we're just going to leave it at none. Let's click generate and see what that gives us. So you can see here it's added to queue, so you can either click on activity up here, or you can click on my media to view your generation over here. Alright, here's our 4 images of this comic of a man explaining a home workout routine. Let's go over each one. So this is the first generation. Notice all the text looks 100% correct. There are no typos or weird looking letters. Plus, this actually makes sense. Here's a simple workout routine, do some bodyweight squats, and this does look like a squat. Try some push-ups, this does look like a push-up, and remember to stay hydrated. This is flawless. Here's yet another example. And then here's another one. And here's our 4th generation. Out of the 4, honestly, they all look flawless, but let's pick this first one. And for your reference, here's the same prompt with the other 3 leading image generators, Ideogram 3, Google's Imagen 3, and Reve. Note that for Ideogram, they just released their latest version 3 this morning. Really quickly, you can log into Ideogram for free, and then in this model dropdown, you can now select version 3, and then also select Turbo, which is the fastest, or Quality, which is slower but better quality, or Default, which is in between. Now, Ideogram is great. It's always been one of my favorite image generators, but it's kind of unfortunate that they've released this right now, because this 4.0 image generator just stole everyone's thunder. Anyways, notice that for Ideogram version 3, it can generate some text, but there's a lot of misspellings and gibberish like this. Interestingly, for Imagen 3, the censorship is really high, so even out of 4 generations, it couldn't generate anything. And then for Reve, the text is actually correct here, and the images are also correct. Alright, next up, since we're going to wait an eternity before GTA 6 will ever happen, let's generate this ourselves. So for the prompt, I'm going to write create the cover of the video game Grand Theft Auto 6 for PS5. The design should be a standard PS5 video game case. I'm going to set all the settings the same, but for the aspect ratio, let's try 2:3, and then click generate. Alright, here's the 4 generations. Absolutely insane how accurate and good quality this is. All 4 images indeed look like the Grand Theft Auto cover, although for one of these images there is a slight error over here. But other than that, I mean, the PS5 logo looks correct, the design looks correct, it does say GTA 6, it even has the mature rating over here. This is beautiful. Now, if I were to select one, let's go with this one. Now again, if you compare the same prompt with the other top 3 image generators, Ideogram came close, but notice that it couldn't really get this mature symbol part working properly. And then the images also aren't great. And then for Imagen and Reve, they just couldn't generate this multi-panel GTA design that I was going for. So clearly, 4.0 is the winner here. Now, there's even more you can do with this, so let's select this one, and then let's click this remix button or press R on my keyboard, and then you can basically edit this image further. So for example, let's say make a photo of Will Smith holding this video game with one hand. And something's not right here, because if we have Will Smith, how can we not have him eat spaghetti? So let's also add he's sitting at a table with a giant bowl of spaghetti. We're going to keep the settings the same. This time I'm just going to generate 2 images and then click remix. And let's see what that gives us. Alright, so here are 2 images of Will Smith holding this video game with a giant bowl of spaghetti on the table. So this has very low censorship. You can definitely generate existing people and celebrities with this tool. By the way, to download the image, just click on this button here or press D on your keyboard. And by the way, this is super high resolution. This is 1024 by 1536, and if you zoom in, notice the details on his face and skin, plus this GTA video game, plus the spaghetti. Like, this is really good quality. Alright, next let's try this. So the prompt is a pixel art sprite sheet of a fire mage casting a spell. The character is robed in deep red and gold with a flowing cape. The animation includes raising a hand, summoning a fireball, and launching it forward. Let's set the aspect ratio to 1:1, and then yes, I'm going to generate 4 images. And here's what we get. So let's go over each one. Indeed, we have a fire mage, he's robed in deep red and gold, he's raising a hand, summoning a fireball, and then launching it forward. Plus, for all of these sprites, the character does look consistent. Now, I would say this is an error, the fireball shouldn't be showing up on top of his head, but here's the next example. This one is a bit better. And then here's the next example. Again, notice how the characters look totally consistent across all these sprites. And then here's the final one. By the way, when you download this sprite sheet and paste it somewhere else, notice that this is actually transparent. How insane is that? Anyways, here's a comparison between the other top 3 image generators. Ideogram just could not generate a sprite sheet. Imagen 3 came close, but it's kind of too complex and it's not as pixelated as I would like. And then Reve's animation just doesn't really make much sense. So again, 4.0 was the only one that could generate a decent looking sprite sheet. Alright, next one, let's try this. An illustrated map of Japan labeling the top destinations with images. Let's select 2 to 3 for this and then press generate. Alright, here are the 4 generations of our Japan map. Everything actually looks accurate. So here's the first one. I guess the only flaw is there seems to be 2 Mount Fujis here. Hiroshima is repeated 2 times. But other than that, I mean, the illustrations look accurate. Nara does have a lot of deer. And then this place does have monkeys like this. Here's the 2nd generation. Here's the 3rd generation. Again, some repeats in terms of images here for some reason, so it's not perfect. And then here's the 4th generation. So overall, not bad. There are still some errors, but I mean, if you compare this with the other image generators, it's not even close. So I did specify an illustrated map, and 4.0's generation looks a lot more illustrated. And then if you look at Ideogram, a lot of the text is just gibberish. And then if you look at Imagen version 3, also a lot of the text is gibberish. And then for Reve, again, it's just not great at generating maps. So even though 4.0's generation is not perfect, it's still by far the best one here. Alright, next let's try this. A screenshot of a Wikipedia page on photography with images and appropriate explanations for how an XLR works. I'm gonna set the aspect ratio to 1:1 and then press generate. Alright, and this is what we get. All of these indeed look like Wikipedia pages, plus the text is almost perfect. Like, I did not specify any of the text in the prompt, but because this is a multimodal language model, it actually understands text and natural language, so it can generate this within images. Plus, look at the diagrams here. This is so impressive. Here's the second generation. Again, this looks exactly like a Wikipedia page, plus it has a diagram showing how SLR cameras work. Here's a third example. Again, this looks like a Wikipedia page with the correct fonts. And then here's the fourth example. Absolutely unreal. And if you compare the same prompt with the other top 3 image generators, it's not even close. None of them actually look like a Wikipedia page. Plus, none of the text in these other 3 generations are correct. So I'm not even going to waste my time commenting on the other 3 here. 4.0 is clearly the winner here by a long shot. By the way, like I briefly showed you before, this can generate transparent images. So here's one example. Design a cute frog and give me 6 transparent stickers of it. Let's click generate and see what that gives us. And here we go. Here are 4 different variations of 6 cute frog stickers. And these look insanely cute and accurate. Let's go over each one. So I can't really find any flaws here. All 6 of these stickers look very consistent. It's the same frog. Here's another example. This one is so adorable. Here's yet another example. I can see some flaw over here, so it's not perfect. And then here's a 4th example. Holy smokes! So, brands like Hello Kitty or Pusheen or Molang, I'd really start to get worried about your sales if I were you. Because now anyone in the world can just pump out thousands of these stickers of cute characters like this. And like I said, because this is transparent, I can download any one of these to use wherever I want. Now, here's the same prompt with the other top 3 image generators. Again, I picked the best out of 4 generations, and I would say 4.0 is the cutest. Plus, it has transparency, which I gotta give extra points for that. By the way, Ideogram also has a transparency feature. So over here, you can click on this drop-down and then click on Remove Background, which would give you a transparent image like this. Here's another crazy thing you can do. You can even specify the hex code of the colors you want in your image. Let's try this prompt. Design a retro 80s style poster for a synthwave music event with the following color scheme. This hex code for hot pink, this one for electric cyan, and this one for deep purple. Let's click generate and see what that gives us. And here is what we get. This actually follows the color scheme that we specified. So here's one example. This is indeed a music event. It even includes the date and some text. Here's another one. Here's the 3rd generation. And finally, here's the 4th generation. I mean, all 4 of these look beautiful. And for your comparison, here's the same prompt with the other top 3 image generators. Notice that all of them are not bad. Ideogram is actually surprisingly good at generating posters with text, and it does kind of follow the color scheme. And then for Imagen 3, it's not bad, but the text is kind of gibberish at the end here. But I mean, clearly, 4.0's generation is the best in terms of text and actually following my specified color scheme. Alright, next let's test its ability to generate realistic hands and fingers. So here's a prompt that none of the other top image generators could get correct. 5 hands forming a star shape. Let's click generate and see if 4.0 can be the first one to actually pull this off. Holy smokes! Finally, we have an AI image generator that can actually generate 5 hands forming a star shape. So let's go over each of these examples. These are indeed 5 hands. They all look correct to me, and they are forming a star shape. Here's the second example. I think this one looks the best. And then here's another example. Note that there is kind of a flaw here, but it still is kind of forming a star shape. And then here we have the typical 6-hand generation that we've seen with other image models. So let's go with this one. This one looks the best to me. And then for your reference, here are the other top 3 image models with the same prompt, and none of them could even get 5 hands. So clearly 4.0 is the winner here by a long shot. Alright, next let's test its ability to generate anime. And this is going to be a really tricky prompt. I'm going to add in a lot of anime characters. So it's going to be Naruto, Nezuko, and Doraemon eating at McDonald's and drinking Coke. So it's got to have the McDonald's logo, plus they're going to be holding cans or bottles of Coke. Let's press generate and see if it can pull this off. Alright, here's what we get. Now, interestingly, it gave me only 3 out of the 4 images, so I'm not sure what happened to the 4th one. But anyways, they are eating at McDonald's with the McDonald's fries, plus they are drinking Coke. This indeed looks like Naruto. Even the leaf logo looks correct. This looks like Nezuko, this is Goku, this is Doraemon. This is absolutely perfect. This is so incredible. Here's the second example. So again, the McDonald's and the Coke logos look correct. All the characters also look roughly correct, although the leaf logo here is a bit messed up. And then here's the third generation. This looks so good. I mean, it's really hard to pick a winner here, but let's go with the first one. Now, if you compare this with the other top 3 image generators, Reve is actually really impressive. It got all the characters correct, plus it also has the Coca-Cola logo on the cup. I don't know why Goku has this McDonald's logo over here, but all the characters do look correct, even though it's in 3D. Really impressive and surprising result. And then for Ideogram, these 3 characters look kind of okay, but Nezuko doesn't really look correct. And then, wait a minute, who's this guy? But I mean, clearly the winner here is again 4O. Alright, next I want to test its ability to generate different types of cars. So the prompt is a red Ferrari Portofino M, a white Audi R8, and a blue 94 Honda Civic in the desert. Let's see what that gives us. And here we go. This is super impressive. For all 4 of these image generations, the car shape and design actually look correct. The only flaw for this one is this isn't the Audi logo, this isn't the Honda logo. Here's another example. Here's the third example. It looks like the Civic smashed into the Audi here. And then here's the 4th example. So interestingly, none of them could actually get the logos of the cars correct, but the overall shape is correct. If you compare this with the other top image generators, note that for Ideogram, it could not get the 94 Honda Civic. It should be a more rounded shape like this. But it did get the other 2 cars correct. So Ideogram is pretty good actually at generating cars. And then for Imagen 3, this is actually really good. This is the best out of the 4 generations. I can't really make out the Honda Civic here, but it does look like the 94 version. Plus the other car models do look accurate. And then here's the generation for Reve. Unfortunately, the Honda Civic does not look accurate. So in this case, it's hard to pick a winner here. I think Ideogram and Imagen actually beat 4O in terms of generating cars. Alright, next I want to test its ability to generate really uncommon species, because most image models, they can generate common stuff like dogs and cats, but let's pick something uncommon like this peacock spider. I'm even going to give it the scientific name, doing a mating dance. Let's press generate and see what that gives us. And for your reference, Meritus volans looks like this. So here's the male doing the mating dance where it waves its legs up in the air and it pushes up this really beautiful abdomen flap like this. And here we go. Here are 4 images of this peacock spider doing a mating dance. And look how insanely detailed each of these images are. So here's the first image, here's the second image. This is so sharp, by the way. Here's the third image, here's the 4th image. Now, if you compare this with the other top image generators, note that this image on the left is an actual photo of the species. Notice that Ideogram, the coloring is kind of wrong. Same with Reve, the abdominal fan doesn't really look like this. And then for Imagen 3, again, the abdominal fan doesn't really look like this design. For 4O, it comes close. This should actually be more yellow and orange instead of blue and red. But nevertheless, out of the 4 generations, again, 4O is the winner. It was the only one that could actually get this design correct. So that's enough comparisons with other existing image generators. I hope you can see that 4O is just insanely better in all aspects. So next I'm going to show you some even cooler stuff you can do with it. Here's a fun one. The prompt is give me 2 panels side by side with the title Spot the Difference. There should be 4 subtle differences between the two images. Let's click generate and see what that gives us. Alright, here are the 4 generations. Let's click on each one. So there should be 4 differences in each one. Let's actually try to find them. Alright, so here is one difference. Here's the second difference. Here's the third difference. Oh my gosh, where's the fourth one? Oh, here's the 4th difference. The edge of the cloud over here. How cool is that? So here's the second image. Feel free to pause the video if you actually want to find 4 differences in this image. And then here's the third example. Oh my god, what the hell is this? Anyways, here's the 4th image. So that's a fun idea you can generate with 4o. Thanks to Monica for sponsoring this video. Monica is an AI assistant that provides access to the best AI tools all in one place. This includes the top AI models like GPT, DeepSeek, and Gemini, plus the top image generators like Flux and Stable Diffusion, and the top video generators like Kling and Hailuo. This is a killer deal because you can use all of these in one platform for way cheaper than if you used all of these separately. You can use this as a browser extension on your desktop or on your mobile device. And their browser extension is context aware, so you can interact directly with any web page you're on. You can easily get Monica to reply to emails or summarize an article. So for example, let's say I'm on this page. I can get Monica to summarize this really technical article in just one click. And here's something even cooler. You can even generate a mind map from this content, which can help you understand ideas more visually. Note that this is way more convenient than just copying everything and going to ChatGPT to ask it to summarize the article. You can also use Monica to summarize YouTube videos. So here's an example. Let's say I'm watching this YouTube video. I can get it to generate a summary or even generate a podcast in just one click. Let's try this one. It even gives you a list of highlights with the correct timestamps. Plus, if you click on this, again, it's generating a mind map for you so you can understand everything more visually. With Monica, everything is just a few clicks away. But don't take my word for it, they have over 10 million users worldwide with a 4.9 star rating on the Chrome store. Try it out for free via the link in the description below. And when you're ready to upgrade, use my code AISearch10 for a nice discount. Full details in the description below. Okay, here's an even crazier prompt. So the prompt is a snowy Nordic village with a wooden post displaying the following signs. No dragon docking in harbor. All longships must be registered with the Jarl. Artificial life forms require saga documentation for censorship. And then for the characters, it's going to be a Viking warrior with a fur cloak and a battle axe standing next to a sleek humanoid robot with glowing blue eyes. They stand in the foreground, backs slightly turned to the camera, scrutinizing the signpost. Let's click generate and see if it can pull this off. And here are the 4 generations. Let's go over each one. So all the text is correct. It even has this no dragon logo over here. And indeed, we have a Viking wearing a fur coat with a battle axe and this sleek looking humanoid robot. Here's the second generation. Here's the third generation. Again, all the text looks correct. It follows the prompt so well. And here's the final generation. 4o is just insanely good at actually following your prompt and generating everything, including all the text that you specify. Next, let's test if it can generate these realistic, amateur-looking photos. So the prompt is a candid Polaroid-style photo of 4 diverse friends in their early 20s at a cozy, dimly lit coffee shop. The lighting should come from a harsh, direct flash, creating sharp shadows and giving the photo a slightly overexposed vintage instant camera feel. Let's press generate and see what that gives us. Here are the 4 generations. This is insanely good. Again, this does look like a Polaroid style photograph, and look how realistic everything is. This is a group of 4 diverse friends in a dimly lit coffee shop. Everything just looks so realistic. Here's the second example. Here's the third example, and here's the 4th example. It even makes some people blink in the photo as if this was intentional and they wanted to add some human flaws to the photo. How crazy is that? Now, I like this photo the most. Let's click on Remix to edit this photo further. And then I'm going to write turn this into Studio Ghibli style. Let's click Remix and see if it can pull it off. Oh my gosh, here is the Studio Ghibli version of this photo. This is so useful. Now, before you can already do this using Stable Diffusion, but you need to do image to image and then use a checkpoint or a LoRa, and it's just a lot more complicated. Whereas for this, you can just tell it what to do, and it would magically transform your image into whatever style you want. And because 4.0 is so good with text and generating multiple objects in a photo, here's a fun one. Make a photorealistic diagram of the 4 most popular smoothies in your juice bar, each with its recipe listed on a handwritten brown recipe card in front of it. The text is black, background is white, title of the image should be 4 most popular smoothies. Let's see what that gives us. And here are the 4 smoothies. Let's click on each one. Here we have strawberry with the recipe in this handwritten brown card in front of it. Here's banana, here's green, here's mixed berry, and all the text is correct. Plus the recipe actually makes sense. Here's another example. This is absolutely mind-blowing. Here's yet another example. Again, everything just looks correct. And here's the 4th example. I mean, if you're a graphic designer, I would be super worried about your job if I were you. Here's another fun one. Let's try a funny meme involving Donald Trump. I'm not going to tell it what text to generate, it's just going to figure out everything by itself and give me 4 memes. Let's press generate. Oh my god. Alright, let's go over each one. When you're trying to fart quietly. Oh my god. And then this one, when you fart and a little comes out. Look at his face, Jesus Christ. And then the next one, when you're president, but the only trade offer you receive is these nuts. And then again, look at his face. And then the last one, I'm not eating fast food. I'm eating food fast. This is crazy. I mean, with this tool, memes are gonna go wild. You can generate a meme of anyone doing any ridiculous or embarrassing expressions like this. Or here's another example. You're launching a high-end cyberpunk cocktail bar in Shibuya called Neon Nectar. Make a menu with a sleek futuristic design. Make sure all the text is rendered correctly with a white background. And then here I'm listing all these items with a description and the price of each item. I'm going to set the aspect ratio to 2:3 and then click generate. All right, here are the 4 generations. The text and the pricing is completely correct. This is insane. Plus, for this one, it also even knows to divide the items between cocktails and food. Holy smokes. I mean, none of the other image generators even come close to this. With this tool, any restaurant can just type into the prompt all the food items that they offer and generate a beautifully designed menu in seconds. There's no longer any need to hire a designer or even make this yourself in Canva. And not only is this for restaurant menus, but you can do this for birthday cards, wedding invitations, movie posters, consulting fees, media kits. I mean, the possibilities are endless. All right, final test for image generation, and then I'm also going to show you some cool examples for image editing. So here, let's generate a 3x3 grid with 9 objects. From left to right, top to bottom, here's the list. A golden crown, pink flamingo, green cactus, purple butterfly, a red apple with a bite, a silver rocket ship, a rainbow unicorn, a yellow sun wearing sunglasses, and a stack of books. And here are the 4 generations, and it nailed all 4 of them. All 9 of these objects are exactly what I specified. Here's the 2nd generation, here's the 3rd generation, and here's the 4th generation. How insane is that? Now, instead of just generating images, you can also upload an image to edit further. So I'm going to upload this image of a man taking a selfie at an empty venue. And then what I'm going to do is get it to add people sitting in the chairs in the background. I'm just going to generate 2 images for this and then press enter. All right, so here are the 2 images. Note that his face isn't exactly like the face in the image, so it's not great at editing images with existing faces, but it did add a full audience to the background. Next, let's edit this even further. So let me select this one, and then I'm going to click on Remix. And then I'm going to change the background to a tropical beach. All right, so here are the images from this one image. Again, notice the man's face doesn't look exactly like the man in the original image. There are some subtle variations, but nevertheless, it did keep the same pose and changed the background to a tropical beach. You can also remove watermarks from the image. So I'm going to upload this image and then simply type in remove the text from the image. And then let's click remix and see what that gives us. Okay, so here's the result. Notice that the face is completely different from the original image. So this is not perfect for micro-editing certain aspects of an image. Now there's another method you can use which doesn't really work, but let me just show you this real quickly. So instead of doing this, you can also click on Edit Remix, and then on your original image, if you click on this pen icon and then click on Remix, it's actually going to pull this up, and here's where you can paint over the specific areas you want to edit. So let's say I'm going to paint over all the watermarks like this, and then I'm going to write remove the text from the image. Let's see if it will only edit the parts that I painted over. Okay, so here's our results. Now, if you compare this with the original image, still the face is not exactly like the original person, even though we never painted over her face. So this is a limitation of this image editor. It's not really good at micro-editing details of a photo without affecting other aspects of the photo. For micro-editing, I would actually prefer Google's Gemini 2. So if I plug in the same photo and I get it to remove the text, notice that I didn't need to paint over anything, but it gave me the exact same photo with the watermarks removed. This is an insanely powerful image editor. In fact, if you're not familiar with this platform, I already did a full video going over everything. So see this video if you're interested. Now back to this, let's click on Remix again, and then I'm going to upload a new photo of this lotion, and then I'm going to write a close-up of this woman holding this lotion. And here is what we get. Notice that this woman looks very different again from the original input image. And then for this lotion, I guess the larger fonts are correct. It does say sea salt and cedar, but notice that the smaller text is kind of messed up, especially over here. It starts outputting gibberish, and same with over here. So I would say its image editing capabilities aren't great. Okay, next, let's try this. I'm gonna upload this manga page, and then let's get it to colorize this page. All right, here's what we got, and note that for this example, it's not even close to our input image. For this example on the left, it is a bit closer. However, the top panel is not correct. Plus, some of the text, like over here, is just gibberish. It tried, but at least for now, you can't really get this to perfectly color a manga page. So that sums up my tests on this tool. Here are some generations from other users. Here's a lifelike gym photo of Albert Einstein lifting dumbbells. This looks insanely realistic and very detailed. Here's a holographic Pepe the Frog Pokemon card. And yes, this can generate pretty uncensored stuff like women in bikinis in various positions. This is a lot more uncensored than what Google's Imagen 3 can generate. This one is pretty funny too. Also, here are some examples from the OpenAI's official release page, which I'll link to in the description below. So here the prompt is a wide image taken with a phone of a glass whiteboard in a room overlooking the Bay Bridge, so you can actually see in the reflection the Bay Bridge. Also, the writing on this whiteboard looks completely correct, and you do see the photographer's reflection over here. It's really hard to believe that this is AI generated. And then you can edit this further by saying selfie view of the photographer as she turns around to high-five him. Notice that the text is, for the most part, the same as the previous image. And then here are some examples of some super realistic photos that were generated with this 4.0 model. I mean, can you believe this photo was generated with AI? That's just crazy. Anyways, this image generator is so much fun, and it's just way better than anything else I've tried so far. Definitely try it out. I think you will be pleasantly mind-blown. Anyways, that sums up my video on this image generator. I hope you appreciate my thorough testing. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this and what other cool generations you were able to come up with. As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week. I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel. So to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.